What happens when a waitress feeds a hungry child from her own pocket, not knowing the world's biggest superstar, Cristiano Ronaldo, is watching? The restaurant was buzzing with its usual evening crowd. Waiters moved briskly between tables, balancing trays of steaming food while the soft hum of conversation filled the air. At one corner of the room, seated by a window, was one of the world's most recognizable faces, Cristiano Ronaldo. He was dressed casually, blending in as much as a global superstar could, quietly enjoying his meal. Despite the attention he often attracted, tonight he seemed content to remain unnoticed, savoring a rare moment of calm. Among the staff was Mia, a young waitress in her mid-20s. With a kind smile and a humble demeanor, she was the heart of the restaurant. Though her shift was grueling, she treated every customer with the same warmth, masking her exhaustion behind her cheerful nature. She had been working long hours lately, saving for her family and barely making ends meet. But for Mia, kindness wasn't a choice. It was simply who she was. As the evening rolled on, the restaurant door chimed softly, and in walked a young boy. He couldn't have been more than 10 years old, his clothes tattered and his face pale. He glanced nervously around the room, hesitant and unsure, before quietly taking a seat at an empty table near the entrance. The boy sat still, his small hands clutching the edges of the table as if seeking some sort of comfort. Mia noticed him right away. She approached gently, crouching slightly to meet his eye level. "Hey there," she said softly, her voice filled with genuine concern. "Are you waiting for someone?" The boy shook his head, avoiding her gaze. "I'm just really hungry," he admitted in a voice so faint it was almost a whisper. Mia's heart ached at his words. She glanced at the menu in her hand, then at the boy's thin frame. Without hesitation, she smiled and said, "Don't worry, I've got you. Let me get you something to eat." She headed to the kitchen and returned moments later with a warm plate of food. Placing it in front of the boy, she noticed how his eyes lit up, though there was still a hint of hesitation. "Thank you," he murmured, but before picking up his fork, he added, I don't have any money." Mia shook her head and replied with a smile, "It's on me. Just eat, okay? You need it." The boy hesitated no longer, digging into the food with a hunger that broke Mia's heart. From his seat near the window, Ronaldo had been watching the entire scene unfold. At first, it was just a casual observation, a waitress being kind to a young boy. But as he watched her closely, something stirred within him. She didn't hesitate, didn't ask questions, and didn't expect anything in return. Her kindness was genuine, pure, and utterly selfless. He leaned back in his chair, his thoughts lingering on what he had just witnessed. As the night progressed, Ronaldo finished his meal and signaled for the bill. Mia approached his table, her warm smile intact despite the long hours she had worked. "Thank you for dining with us. Here's your check," she said politely, placing the receipt on the table. Ronaldo looked up at her, his expression serious but kind. "I saw what you did for that boy," he said, his voice steady. Mia blinked, caught off guard by the unexpected comment. She glanced toward the boy, who was now finishing his food, then back at Ronaldo. "Oh, that," she said, brushing it off with a small shrug. "It was nothing. He was hungry, and I just wanted to help." Ronaldo's gaze remained fixed on her, his eyes narrowing slightly in thought. "Most people wouldn't have done that," he replied. "Not in the world we live in." His tone was calm, but there was a weight to his words that made Mia pause. "I don't know," she said softly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I just think, if we're in a position to help someone, we should. It's as simple as that." He nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. After a moment of silence, he reached into his wallet and pulled out a thick stack of bills, placing it on the table. Mia's eyes widened as she stared at the money. "Wait, this is $10,000? She stammered, her voice shaking. Ronaldo smiled faintly. "Kindness like yours deserves to be rewarded," he said. "The world needs more people like you." Mia's hands trembled as she picked up the money, overwhelmed with disbelief. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. I don't even know how to thank you," she whispered. Ronaldo shook his head. "You don't need to thank me. Just promise me you'll keep being you." As he stood to leave, the boy, who had been quietly watching from his table, suddenly ran over. His small voice broke through the moment. "Mia," he said, tugging gently at her apron. She turned, kneeling down to meet his gaze. "What is it, sweetheart?" she asked. The boy hesitated, glancing nervously at Ronaldo before speaking. I want to say thank you too. You didn't have to help me, but you did. I'll never forget it." Ronaldo watched the interaction silently, his hands in his pockets. As the boy turned to leave, he called out, "Wait!" Both Mia and the boy looked up in surprise. Ronaldo crouched slightly, his towering figure more approachable as he spoke. "What's your name, kid?" he asked gently. "David," the boy replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Ronaldo nodded thoughtfully. "David, do you have a place to stay tonight?" The boy shook his head, his eyes lowering to the floor. Mia's heart sank, and she instinctively reached out to hold the boy's hand. "We'll figure something out," she said, her voice trembling slightly. But before she could say more, Ronaldo stood and gestured for the boy to follow him. "Come with me," he said. "We'll make sure you're taken care of." Mia watched in stunned silence as Ronaldo led David outside. Moments later, the sleek black car that had been waiting for Ronaldo pulled up, and the boy climbed into the back seat. Before getting in, Ronaldo turned to Mia one last time. "You've inspired me tonight," he said. "What you did for him reminded me of something important, that we can all make a difference if we choose to." Mia nodded, unable to find the right words. As the car drove away, she stood there for a moment, the envelope of money still clutched in her hand, her emotions a whirlwind of gratitude and disbelief. That night, as she locked up the restaurant and walked home, she couldn't stop replaying the events in her mind. Her small act of kindness had set off a chain of events she never could have imagined. Weeks later, Mia received a letter in the mail. Inside was a handwritten note. "Mia, kindness creates ripples. Thank you for being the spark. I hope this helps you achieve your dreams. Ronaldo." Along with the note was a check for an additional $20,000. Tears filled her eyes as she read the note, clutching it tightly. She knew exactly what she would do next. Using the money, Mia opened a small cafe in the heart of the city, a place where anyone, rich or poor, could come for a warm meal and a welcoming smile. She named it David's Haven, in honor of the boy who had inspired the life-changing encounter. Every day, she served her customers with the same kindness that had set her journey in motion, always remembering that sometimes even the smallest acts could change lives in the most extraordinary ways. If you enjoyed this heartwarming story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends to spread the message of kindness. And for more inspiring tales like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos.